Hi, everybody. Hey, this is Kenn Renner, a real estate broker here in Central Texas, and I'm pleased to have on my podcast Bill O'Leary, who is in Burlingame, California. And Bill and I go way back. And so, what we're going to be talking about in our Investor Savvy Agent podcast is talking to different agents around the nation about their markets and how it's different from our markets and how we can benefit our clients by working the niches, which is specifically is looking at investment properties for our clients that make sense in other areas that may not work in the area that you're at, and tapping our client and our sphere to be able to bring the opportunities for those clients to build large portfolios of properties for themselves, for financial freedom, and for legacy. And I've got a really special featured guest here with Bill O'Leary, because we go way back, and he's I'm going to call him my multi-generational investor. The reason is that the reason I met Bill Jr. is because of his dad, Bill Sr. And so Bill Sr. has done quite well with me and with over the years, and we're going to explain a little bit how that went. But first of all, I want to introduce Bill and have him talk a little bit about where he's at, and then we'll talk about discussing a little bit about the markets and some of the things that are affecting prices, values, tenancies, and all that kind of stuff. So, Bill, introduce yourself real quick.
Hey, I'm Bill O'Leary, a Compass Realtor. Office is in Burlingame. I have been in the industry since 2009. So I started right during the Great Recession when the market was much different than what we're seeing today. It was a lot of bank-owned properties and short sales,
Yep.
depressed sales. So I have gone through several cycles. Things are a lot different now in our market with competition, multiple offers, and just a much different market now that we're experiencing.
Yeah, so one of the things in my presentations, especially when I do them out there, is it's very eye-opening to see what I call the counter cycles of the market. And the coasts and the central part of America, Texas being is where I'm at, I've always been on some form of counter cycle. In other words, when California is booming, Texas is kind of in the doldrums. Give me an example, the dot-com bust. Right after 2000, Texas was wallowing in the whole dot-com bust, but real estate in California is going through the roof. So between 2000 and 2005, plus the easy money with mortgages, that prices went there was almost double in that period of time in California, where Texas was just moving along its typical 5 or 7% appreciation rate. So we're not right now in somewhat of a counter cycle, because Texas, obviously Austin being the poster child of the pandemic, real estate boom, they drove up prices 70-80% from what was in 2020. And so that was the big feeding frenzy. A lot of people and most of my clients are out of California that were coming in here, and they snapped up as much as they could, which was great. But then it went up, 50, 70, 100%. But then we had a drop back of maybe 15% in the last year and a half. And that's all that makes the news, is the drop of
Just the negative.
15%. But everybody that's had property since 2020 or 2017 are pretty happy. We're going to talk about that. So Bill, tell me kind of what is the median price in your area? And I'm going to sit down for this one, or
Yeah, sit down and brace yourself. So, I work in San Mateo County, so I'm going to give you numbers for the city of San Mateo, which I do a lot of business in.
Yeah.
So right now, the median home price in San Mateo is $2,050,000. So median price per square foot, 1,223 in San Mateo. Average days on market is 16. The average overbidding, so we deal with a lot of overbidding and multiple offers. So average overbidding, 8% for San Mateo. And the months of inventory is just under 2 months of inventory.
So the overbidding on a $2 million house at 8% is 160,000.
Correct.
Are you advising your clients to go 200,000 over?
So we look at comps, and we never look at what the list price is. A lot of times in the market, we do list it a little bit more aggressively just to generate that activity. Typically, that's when you're going to be the most successful, is when you price it aggressively and allow the competition and buyers to compete. So I always tell them, let's sit down and look at values in the area and comps. Don't get too tied up with the list price, because I recently sold a property in Belmont. We listed it aggressively at 2,998. Received 8 offers. It sold for 3,530. So, 500,000 is not uncommon here. We're seeing that not all the time, but it's not something that's uncommon. So
Great psychology to in a seller's market to price it and let the market determine the sales price.
exactly.
We had
Yeah.
that situation here. Every property was bid up in our properties during the boom was over 100,000. A $500,000 house average was 100,000 over price.
Yep.
So tell us. So you're $2 million, and the median price here in Austin is 550.
Okay.
So so you're about four times as much. So you can buy four houses for the price of one here. But Austin's had its run up, and so when we're talking about our investors, they want appreciation. It's important, and that some are buying just specifically for appreciation, but we also want to have cash flow. If nothing less, at least a break even.
Right.
So that's the thing that for my clients, they want to be able to put their head in a pillow and get hopefully getting a check every month. But if not, they're not feeding it. So tell me what on a median price $2 million house in San Mateo County, what will that rent for?
So rent and median price for rent would be 5,500 to 6,000 for like San Mateo. I mean, there's stuff in Belmont that's more like $7,000. But really that 55 to 6,000 for something around that 2 million, 4 bedroom, 3 bath.
Okay, so in Austin, we're at 550 or median price, and then our rental for that probably be somewhere around 2,800. Those numbers really don't work as very well either. But now with rates coming down and things like that, is we're seeing a lot of investors moving back into the market, especially with their stock portfolios doing really well,
Yep.
starting to diversify and do a little bit of profit taking and putting into hard assets. What we focus on and have been for the last several years is our submarkets, which would be the area between Austin and San Antonio and the area between Austin and Dallas on I-35. So we have specific areas that we've been working. Like I said, I did 440 investor sales, mostly out of state and mostly all done by Zoom because it was all pandemic.
Yeah.
Zoom pictures, videos, and all that kind of stuff over the last several years. So that's something that we really designed to make it easy. But we're looking at median price where we're buying is 270,000.
Okay.
And then the homes that we're finding with our preferred builder are in the low 200s, brand new construction, a national builder, one of the largest. And the big kicker here is you're getting low 200,000s, low tax rate for Texas, as low as 1.4, almost California taxes.
Yeah.
And they're offering 4 7/8 30-year fixed
Wow, that's a great rate.
for investors with no points.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So your typical $225,000 house is going to be about 1,627 square foot, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1 story, perfect rental. Going to be renting for probably 1,800, 1,900 a month. Those numbers work really well. You're going to get about 250 to 350 positive on each property, brand new construction. So that's a little bit of the difference with your property. It's how much, if it was $4,000 to $7,000 a month, how much would those house payments would be if you put 25% down?
Like PITI, you're probably talking like $16,000 for everything. So I mean, you'd have to put 50% down. You can't really cash flow properties here. It's very, very difficult to find anything that's going to generate positive cash flow for you.
So talk a little bit about also, why aren't more people that have investment properties in the area? Some people are just leaving them vacant. Some people are afraid to put a tenant in because of all the landlord issues, and we just had talked before the podcast. So touch a little on what the concerns are with what's going on with California's tenancy rules.
Yeah, tenant rights are very, very strong in California. So everything is legislated for tenants to have extremely strong rights here. So you have, squatter rights, where I just was talking with someone who had a tenant in the home. They had someone else living there who was not on the lease. They decided to change their locks and not pay rent. And they were there for 9 months. The sheriff showed up. They could not do anything until they had an attorney legally evict them and go through the entire eviction process. Like I said, it took 9 months. So tenant rights are strong. Squatters' rights are strong. And even some properties, like in San Francisco especially, there have been some proposals to tax vacant properties to try to get more inventory on the market.
You talked about that last
not
time.
allowing an owner just to leave it vacant. So There's fear. There is some fear with if you get the wrong tenant in there and you do have to try to get them out, it's not as easy as it would be where you're at to
Well,
streamline it and get them out.
so you just had a call with a first-time investor, and that's most of my investors are first-timers, and I love educating them because it's worked so well for our family, and we'll talk about our families, what they've done. But he was concerned about that same thing. I see it in the news. I'm concerned about this, and I said, in Texas, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We have, California is a very tenant rights oriented state. In fact, we were talking to our other investor savvy agents down there in Huntington Beach, that she works the whole area. Her name's Mercedes, and she works the whole area. And she said that Santa Monica has not only you have to pay to get rid of the client so you can sell your house.
Yeah.
It costs $30,000-$40,000 just to get them out, just to pay them off to get them out. But they also have rent control. You
Here
can't raise your
as well.
rents. And there's I did a whole podcast with her, and it just kind of sets you really back. And what it does is it makes Californians not really want to take their hard-earned money and invest it in something that they have lost their property rights to.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
tough. It's not investor friendly. Yeah.
so in Texas and other states, we're very the judges and everybody down the line are landlord oriented. So here's how it works: if you don't pay by the 3rd, you get a notice and a late payment. You don't pay by the 5th, you get a notice to vacate on your door. If you don't pay up or whatever violation needs to be cured, we submit that to the just JP court. It takes about 7 to 10 days to get a date scheduled for an eviction. And if everything's all done right, you can, from them not paying rent on the 1st, we can have them out as early as the 25th or 30th of the month. That is very common. Like I said, I haven't had to evict anybody in all the properties I've owned, and of the 400 that we had, we only had one eviction, and that's in the last 5 years. So, and that's during pandemic time. So where people weren't always making
Yeah, people were not paying.
right. So it's the same thing in your area. You're going to be paying 18,000 a month payment, or you could rent it for 6,000 or 7,000 a month. Economically, if I were counseling our client, why don't you rent that and take that other 10,000 a month and invest it in other cash flow properties or other investments? I think somebody like Grant Cardone would tell you to recommend to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. So for us, our opportunity here is to do what your dad did, and so that's one of the big reasons I'm having Bill on this podcast, because Bill, his dad basically started with me about 2004, 2005. And I think Bill also, you came out. So Bill Sr. came out and Bill Jr. And you bought a house in Round Rock, which is right around the corner from me.
Yep.
And then your dad bought a house in Round Rock. Now that house appreciated substantially over the few years. He came back and he sold it, but then he says, I got this house in San Mateo. What am I going to do with it? And I'm sure he counseled with you. And he said, Dad, let's look at what Kenn's got to offer. We took the value of that San Mateo house, and there's a whole podcast on that, because it was a logistics mystery, a nightmare to make this all work, but we made it happen. And it really worked out really well for him. So he sold a house in San Mateo. What was the name of the street? I forget. It
was on Guilford.
Yeah, Guilford. So I use this in my presentation. I showed this really cute little house, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-car garage, 1.45 million.
That's it.
And
yes.
So Bill sold that, but before Bill sold it, Bill Sr. went and lined up with me 9 single-family homes in one of our submarkets just north of us, in the area where there's a lot of hospitals and a lot of great employment opportunities. And the average home that we put under contract, 9 of them were averaging about 175 to 200,000. This is back in 2017. They were anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 square feet in master plan communities. Solid brick all the way around, really done very nicely, landscape.
Beautiful homes, yeah.
Really, really nice, brand new homes. And so he went from a rental amount of 3,600.
3,600.
When he got done with the tax deferred exchange, let's talk about that. He was able to exchange out of that one house into 9 houses.
That's right.
His idea was get equal or greater value. So we went to 1.45. That's what all those houses added up to.
Yep.
He had to borrow of equal or greater value. He didn't owe much on the house, so he had to borrow 250, which was not a problem. We got that taken care of. So he was able to do a 100% tax deferral on that exchange. And so if he had sold that Guilford house, he probably would have paid a quarter to $500,000 in capital gains
Absolutely.
taxes and
Tax
depreciation.
consequences would be substantial. Yeah.
Horrible, horrible situation. So obviously the best thing was for do an exchange, but where do I exchange to? And that's a lot of where the Californians like, oh, do I go to Stockton? Do I stay in California? Do I go to Fresno? Do I go to Sacramento? Where do I go? And I'm saying it's only a 2.5 hour flight to Austin, Texas from there. And we've got all these areas, San Antonio, New Braunfels, Temple, Texas, all these areas are doing so well. And really Austin's an opportunity buy right
Yeah.
now. It's starting to go up again. It's flat, because the counter cycle, it's flat. And that's when the price and the interest rates are going down. So it's going to happen. People are coming back into the market and driving the prices up.
Yep.
Not quite like yours with multiple offers,
Not, yeah.
but
Everything here is still multiple offers, non-contingent, very, very competitive still.
yeah. So we're, what I was, the reason we do this podcast is to open up the eyes of some of your potential investors. Maybe they're getting an inheritance. Maybe they own this property for a long time. Maybe they want to relocate and take that. Your dad, say, for instance, he sold his house for $3.5 million. He could have sold that, take his over, so this $250,000 exemption. He could have bought a whole bunch of investment properties as well as buy another house in Sacramento. How much was his house in Sacramento?
He bought that for $1 million.
Okay, so yeah, next
Just
two and
under.
a half
Yeah.
to play with.
Yep. Yeah. So he still has plenty left over.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we did is we took his San Mateo house, the one house, 3 1 bathroom, 2, and turned it into to 9 single family homes, all with positive cat. Well, they're all free and clear.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and but the neat thing about that is he could sell one of those houses if he needs a little cash, or if he wants to another opportunity in 1031 into another property. He doesn't have to sell all of it like you do if you owned a nineplex.
A big complex, yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about that same thing too. This same idea of when we first started, we looked, he was thinking maybe California. And can we go in the East Bay? And like you said, that's not going to work. Or, we looked in Sacramento. We knew that Fresno or Bakersfield or Stockton or Tracy were just not options.
Yeah.
And, since we had some familiarity with you in the area, it made the best sense to transition where you can buy multiple properties, increase the cash flow threefold, and also have the appreciation. So it really is the best of all worlds for his situation, and a lot of investors to do the same thing.
And new construction.
Exactly. And you don't have to worry about it for, 10
Yeah.
years. I mean, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plan. We're helping the other people in your sphere and your influence, and hopefully beyond that, they're saying, hey, go to Bill. He's got these guys, and I'm not the only one. I'm building a network of other agents that serve other markets that may be a better flavor. I got Florida working out. I'm working out Oklahoma, but my area is Central Texas, 100 to 150-mile radius around the Austin, Texas area. So if you get the opportunity, Bill, if you have some people that maybe are considering or even questioning, we can have a meeting like this with them.
Definitely.
And have a Zoom call, or even like, me, I'll fly out there. It's
Yeah.
a quick Southwest airline, and put a couple of people in a conference room, and I really do. I come out about once a quarter to the Bay Area and meet my former clients, and they oftentimes will introduce me to more people while I'm there. So yeah, I'd really love to connect with you, and
I'd be happy to, because it makes such great sense financially to discuss these situations, and really, like, people that inherit properties and don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Financially, it puts them in a really great position to be able to transfer them, like my dad did, and to purchase multiple properties and increase cash flow, and sleep at night knowing that you have that mailbox money.
But you got to hook up with the right people.
Yep.
People that are investor savvy, who have a network. You don't need just an attorney. You need a real estate investment specialist attorney. You don't need just a CPA. You need a CPA that knows real estate and California laws and LLCs and all that kind of. So it's like, really, we have the whole package together because we're all investors. We have to have this, plus we have to have every network of help in place. So when people come to me, it's plug and play.
Yeah. And they're complex transactions that you and I make, simple.
Right. And the numbers work really well. And so people go, oh, I wish I'd done this many years ago. And I'm like, this is a great time to do this.
Right.
So I'd encourage people like my dad. The first house he bought in 1963 when I was born, so that would be 60 years ago, was in San Mateo.
Okay.
And it was worth $17,000. He bought it on a VA loan.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so I count up all the houses we lived in, moved in, sold, bought, sold, because he was a real estate attorney. Should have known better. Just keep the houses.
Keep them all, right? Yeah.
Keep them all, especially if you're owner occupied. We encourage that too with our sellers here. Why sell? You got a 2.5% interest rate. Keep it,
Right.
rent it
Yeah.
out. And I count up all those, and I went through all the stats of what those homes are worth today. $20 million for those 12 houses
Unbelievable.
in California. That if we just well, if he kept one, it would have been worth 2 million,
Right.
free and cleared 10 years ago.
Yeah, the San Mateo house, exactly. The one in
Right,
San Mateo that he bought
right.
in the Highlands. Yeah.
Right. And otherwise, it would be he had 12 houses worth $20 million. That's like my rich dad who's still alive. Is I call him my poor dad because he was a corporate attorney and didn't keep his real estate.
Right.
And my rich dad's my father-in-law. All he was is just a realtor. He never even got a broker's license. He just bought houses because it's what I do. And that's what really I'm encouraging, not just us to help our clients buy portfolios, but our agent friends.
Us as agents, absolutely.
We get the good deals. We know what comes across the table. But you mean people like me, when you're networking, you don't
Right.
that they have no access to the people you can connect with. So that's what's really kind of cool about working with my California. I mean, most of my stuff is not through agents yet. It's through word of mouth through the Silicon Valley software and medical industries.
Yeah.
A lot of them come from because they want properties. They want someone to trust. They don't want vacancies. And they want to be able to put their head on the pillow at night and know that they're bought a home in a
Yeah.
good
Be
area.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the thing that they don't have is time.
Right.
They don't have time to vet a bunch of stuff. They want to say, just give me the best of what you got.
And make this
And
work. Yeah.
something that this is what I always tell them. If your mother-in-law was coming in to buy an investment property from me, or or if buy investment property from you,
Right.
where would you put them? And so it's kind of like when I'm out looking, I talk to on-site agents. Okay, if your mom was buying a house and it was her only investment, where would you put her? And so they always come up, oh yeah, this deal over here. In fact, it hasn't even hit the market because it just got back on the market, and they're gonna lower the price here. They need to get rid of it. Fiscal years coming up,
Yep.
and that's the relationships I build out here to help.
And it's funny, because people ask me like, well, do you think that's a good idea to, sell here and buy like in Texas? And I say, well, to be completely transparent and honest, I helped my dad do it. So I 100% am confident and think it is a very good idea. There's great value out there. So it's not just something I'm telling you. I've helped family do the exact thing that I'm talking about.
Right. And the thing is limiting your tax liability, limiting your liability all the way. And we've got attorneys for LLCs if you want to do that, and land trusts and all that. It's got all the packages here. So I encourage you to connect up with Bill and have a conversation. We can get on a Zoom meeting like this, or I'll come out to California, sit in a conference room, and we'll talk. So Bill, give us your contact information.
So Bill O'Leary with Compass, the cell phone number 650-483-4386. And my email, bill.oleary@compass.com.
How do you like working for Compass?
I love it. Compass is a great company. Our technology is second to none.
Okay.
And we own we have like
Yeah.
35% of the market share here.
You do.
So we're a huge, we have a huge footprint. We have a ton of like private exclusives and off-market properties. So a lot of stuff we see before it hits the market that's only available to Compass. So I've really enjoyed working for Compass.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I worked for Keller Williams for many years and got to speak on some of their big stages to help agents with their marketing. But I'm independent, and that gives me a lot of freedom. So my name is Kenn Renner, real estate broker, 512-423-5626. My email address is Ken with two N's, KENN @buyaustin.com, BUY-Austin.com. And so me and Bill have gone back over 20 years in buying and selling and investing and referring each other potential clients. And so if I have people in your particular Burlingame, San Mateo area, I've got my go-to person. That's referrals going both ways. So
Absolutely.
and references and trust.
Yep. And we have a whole team like you do of whatever you need as far as, any vendor possible, we have someone for you. So we're always here to help.
Well, that's one of the big things, not to get into the whole NAR thing, but buyer's agency and all that, but buyers need to have there's so many things you tell me about the sewer systems that need to be replaced and the fire insurance and this and that just you need to have a pilot.
You have to have a trusted professional who's local, who knows exactly what to look for and look at. So you're making a sound and smart investment. Absolutely.
Well, Bill, you're the guy to go to. So, all right. Well, we appreciate you, and thank you for taking your time on your busy day to join our podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ken. It's great to chat with you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Great
Sounds
day.
good.
See you.
Bye-bye.